Are we there yet? I mean, what parent has not heard that question from a child in the back seat of the car shortly following departure for a vacation, or perhaps on a trip to grandma's for Christmas? Are we there yet? How much longer? I mean, despite the carefully planned snacks, the DVDs, the games, inevitably impatience, fatigue, and appetite combine to destroy contentment, and things can dissolve quickly in the car. In my family, we used to drive to our cousin's farm regularly. It was a 3-hour drive, 5 kids in the back, mom and dad in the front. It seemed like we were on the Exodus after the first hour. "Don't make me pull this car over or you'll regret it." I can remember my father yelling from the driver's seat in our Plymouth station wagon. Look, we're all on this spiritual journey toward freedom and promise. And the life of faith is a pilgrimage from the scarcity of our own way, the brutality of our world's ways, to the abundance of God's way. The problem is that we live kind of mixed in between. We live somewhere between hearing the promise of God and experiencing the fulfillment of those promises. We often find ourselves confronted with our own needs, facing scarcities of all kinds, and occasionally with unfulfilled appetites for something beyond our reach. We too may find ourselves surprised that this place where we live in between promise and fulfillment is such a hungry place. We may have expected something different in life. We may have expected something different from faith. You know, many years ago, I had this backpacking trip that I used to lead in the Beartooth Mountains near Red Lodge, Montana. For several summers during my college years, I spent the entire summer leading groups of high school students up Sundance Pass, up onto Silver Run Plateau. It's one of the highest land shelves in the country. We began below 8,000 feet. We hiked up to 12,000 feet. And the very first trip, I was 22 years old. We were scheduled to follow the trail up the switchbacks to the top of the pass, high above the timberline, and then depart from the trail. We climbed even higher through the snow to a peak, intending to descend down the other side and pick up another trail on the backside. Well, it turned out to be much more difficult and much further than I had understood. And then the weather conspired against me. The clouds moved in like a dense fog, and with them snow and ice, taking away our visibility and any ability to identify landmarks. We had to rely entirely on the compass, the topographical map, to get us off that mountain. And more importantly, that group had to trust me. You should have heard the complaining. "I'm tired. Are you sure the trail's this way? When are we going to eat? Do you know where you're going? Let's just stop here for the night." We were utterly exposed on that mountain above timber, and the thin fabric of leadership and group support was beginning to unravel. And there was lots of murmuring about the leader and the expedition itself. So I did the best I could. I spread the group out, and we walked along the plateau in sight of each other, looking for some trail marker. Now, usually trail markers are just 3 rocks piled on top of one another. But before long, we heard somebody yell out that they'd come upon a pile of rocks that was 3 feet high. A thrill of hope. And as quickly as it appeared, it disappeared in the cloud. So we walked in the direction towards it, and finding it, then we just faintly in the distance could make out another pile of rocks. And so we walked towards it, and then another one, and so on, until finally we found our way down off that plateau, back into timber. Sometimes when you can't see your way forward, the best you can do is to move towards the next marker and trust that you'll find your way. This year, as we make our way towards Christmas, A dense fog has descended called the virus, COVID-19, the pandemic resurging. And it's just as disorienting and disruptive as a fog bank or a cloud descending. We worry that we'll walk into it at the park or at a grocery store or at the gas pump. And we can't see our way forward or make out the usual landmarks to find our way this season. The Christmas story is filled with trail markers that guide the faithful. The heavenly choirs, a bright star in the night. We don't know how things will resolve in this place between promise and fulfillment, in the midst of the fog. But we can find our way forward by paying attention and looking for the trail markers. May you find them. Merry Christmas.